What's going on, everybody? It's Matt, aka the Lumberjack Landlord. I know, fluffier and cleaner than usual, but that's just because I had an appointment outside the cave that I had to go to. So I wanted to welcome my good buddies, Millennial Mike, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. Good to have you guys. We today are going to talk about, I think, something that's very interesting. One of the things that, as I sat there and pondered and said, how can I add more value? What can I do that's different? How can I add value to, one rental at a time and Christian and Cody multifamily strategy, all of these courses that are out there in the market that really teach people how to buy their property. I sat there and I was scratching my head and I said, you know what? I guess my superpower is actually managing and being an operator of my property. So why don't we do that? So one of those things that I wanted to talk about with Mike and with Dion was, Dion, talk to me about kind of where you were after you bought property and then started buying more property. Kind of where were you at on what to do next?
It's funny. I would have benefited from your course before I owned a rental.
Oh, interesting.
So I owned a house and I had a bad debt to income ratio.
Got it.
And so one of the lenders said, if you had rental income on your tax returns, it'd be a lot easier to qualify you for the next rental, even if you didn't make more money and you didn't have a better debt to income ratio because the rental income would offset. So I moved from my house into an apartment and rented out the house. I had no idea how to screen tenants. I had no idea how to maintain a property. I had no idea how to stick to a lease. I didn't even have a lease, right? So all of those things that come up after you own a rental, I needed before I learned how to make an offer on a property, learned how to calculate the yield. I was literally just trying to figure out a tenant rents a property from somebody who owns it. Like that's the amount of information I had. And it was a year where I lost money. That first year, I was able to save about $1,000 a month from work and side hustle, right? I wasn't making very much. I was making like $17 an hour, worked a ton of overtime, had a side hustle playing World of Warcraft, selling stuff online. So I saved $12,000. But that first year, since I didn't have any of your systems in place, I had no idea how to manage my own properties. I saved $6,000 because the property cost me $6,000 to rent it out that first year. So I don't think that there's a point where somebody goes, okay, I have enough rentals now. Now I should go take Matt's course.
Yeah.
I think if you know how to run your rental properties like a good player, like you have you know the systems. Here's how I'm going to screen tenants.
Yeah.
Here's how I'm going to handle contractors. And here's the type of rehabs that I'm going to do that will actually increase the revenue on my property. If you have all that in advance, it makes it easier to look at that first deal. Like you haven't even made an offer on a property yet. And you're thinking, once I own this property, this is work it needs done. Right. Some of these will increase my rent. Some won't. You'll be able to look at it from a whole different lens. So I'm not sure that in my timeline, there was a right time for your information. Is like, okay, now I finally got a portfolio large enough. And you're like, now I'm a landlord. Now what? I think if you have your information before you even own a property, it makes picking your first property a lot easier.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that, one of the things that we really look at, and one of the things I talk about with Cody and Christian from multifamily strategy is acquisition, standardization, and then optimization. And when you get through those stages, the bank really wants to see you get to a point of stable. You as an operator, really, what you really want to get is to optimized, which is I'm now stable and I don't have tenants. I don't have a revolving door. I don't have something that where the unit comes available every 6 or 12 months. I'm not doing consistent evictions there. I'm not faced with all these issues. I'm stable. Well, now I'm making my game plan for how now I optimize. What are the things that I can do in the property that are going to give me a return on that capital, curate a different experience for the tenant? That means I'm likely going to be getting typically a better scoring tenant, a better paying tenant. All of those things kind of come into play. So I totally and completely agree with you. I think one of the mistakes that I made was, and why I named the course, "Oh shit, I'm a landlord, now what?" is because I was literally sitting at the closing table going, I now own this property and I have no idea what to do next. I didn't even get the contact information for the tenants. I was like, this is going to be a problem. So, I literally knew that little about the management of the property. I could do the math and say, yeah, this is going to be a good investment, but I couldn't do any of the operational stuff, which is really where you can make or break a deal. So, Mike, you have had the honor and the privilege, also the workload
The
of
duty.
being the duty of being involved with this project since its start. Couldn't have done it without you.
Right.
But I've been very interested in your feedback because some of the stuff where I was just like, Mike, that's pure gold. And you're just like, it's really good, but this is better. I'm like,
Yeah.
It's what? And I think what's really interesting to me is I just love kind of your feedback on that because you've seen the entire course. And so what were some of the things, just kind of some of the favorites that you had that you were like, hey, this changed the way I do things and it's going to help me, save money, make money.
Right.
Either way, it's a net plus, right?
Yeah. So, I'm sure people will be like, oh, well, Mike, you're just a sycophantic suck up who's going to just, make Matt look good because of the course. Well, yeah, I mean, to a certain degree, obviously, I have a biased opinion. I participated in a lot of the editing and even some of the ideas for content, like, hey, you should add this video or something like that. But realistically, when you go through the course, there is pretty much everything you could think of, talking about not only how to list your units, how to get them properly documented at the inspection, how to do leases, how to do evictions, how to find the proper appliances that you can have, and there's all these different systems and processes that Matt goes over. But there was so many times when I'm going through and I'm editing this thing and I'm watching it. And most of the time, if you're editing something, you're watching it 2, maybe 3 times as you go through it and you make sure you didn't miss anything. So I really got to know the material. And I said so many times, this right here, this one single tip will save people thousands of dollars and pay for the course 10 times over. And then 4 minutes later, this one single tip will save people so he'll give you an example listing, right? Because a lot of people, if you're going to list your unit on Zillow, Craigslist, whoever, right, you probably type it up, okay, I got a 4-bed, 2-bath, in this area. And I'm sure in your mind, you think this looks good. And then you go on Matt's course and he has an example listing. And then he highlights why he lists things like this, why he puts the 5 key features, the 10 key features, how he phrases it, how he can make it jump off the page, how he can specifically list the same property 3 different times, targeting 3 different people. Attention Wildcats. The Wildcats are the local student mascot for the college there. And then maybe you live near a base. Attention military family, right? Like you're grabbing a specific demographic's attention with the way you phrase your ad for your listing. And you can list the exact same thing 3 times, and people that didn't click on one will click on the other. So like that one single example of how to list a property properly will save you thousands of dollars because you'll get it rented faster, you'll get it rented for a higher amount, you get better tenants. That one single thing. And I can give you an example for all 11 modules. I won't because the video will be too long. Take the course.
I was going to say, we don't want to give away the entire course in like 9 minutes because it was like over 9 hours.
Oh my God. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, you guys have both had a little bit of experience of it. And, my biggest concern as always is adding value. Now, is it perfect? Is the course perfect? It's really good because it's 20 years plus of experience kind of jammed in there. And it's 9 hours. And so it's a little bit of a fire hose thing. But Dion, we did this with one of your friends. We did this process. Anything enlightening there? Anything that you kind of were like, hey, that's kind of interesting?
Well, no, Mike nailed it. I haven't had a lot of turnover. Right. So I'm not the best resource for my friend to come to me and go, hey, how do you list a property and get a bunch of,
Very
interest?
true. Very true.
So 12 years of investing, I've experienced 4 turnovers. Right. So I'm not the guy to go to. So when I list a property, I did like Mike talked about in when he first said, here's how you list a property. I was thorough. I was informative. And I figured and I looked at it like a marketing strategy.
Yeah.
Person is going to look from top to bottom, left to right. Right. They're going to read the sheet like we would when you market something. So I have marketing experience, but I wasn't thinking real estate. I was thinking, I want a good listing.
Yeah.
Your help with my friend said, here's how you make a listing. It doesn't have to be good or bad, but here's how you make a listing stand out.
Yeah.
Totally different concept to, if it has a garage, I want to make sure I talk about that. But that's not what matters to the tenant. What matters to the tenant is how close is the freeway? Are there colleges or hospitals or a base or something else that you can reference without saying this rental is by a base? Like the way you word it, you can say this is by a base, grab their attention by saying attention military families. Like that's going to say you're by a base without saying something like that. I think it was great. She had an awesome experience. So thank you for helping my friend, because I'm going to steal everything she learned and use it in the future.
Happy to do it. I think that one of the really interesting things is that you don't know what you don't know in the beginning. And I had no idea what I didn't know. And holy cow, did I not know anything. If you could know less than nothing, I would classify myself as knowing less than nothing, because it was brutal to try and create these systems. But over the years, we've really created systems around all the things that we do that make it very easy. And quite frankly, that's the only reason that I can manage 137 units by myself. And because Ashley almost always is doing back office type of work. So a lot of that front end work is really me, and it's all about process. So as always, I thank you guys for being a part of the course. I thank you guys for the support through the course. I'm very excited to see the questions that we get about the course, because one of the reasons I made it a year-long subscription is because it's not like the real estate exam where you take it, you test on it, and then next you're out. I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to very much do the course where you guys have access to it. You can use it for the year. You can give feedback. We can add additional modules for folks. So we really want this to be kind of an immersive experience. So I appreciate all the help and assistance and hard work that you guys put into it. And I'm super excited to see how it goes. And we're going to be covering some stuff on Millennial Mike's channel next with his video that I think is really important stuff to do. We did an awesome one on Deion's as well, because I'm still not retired. And we have to figure that out. So, Deion, tell everybody they can find you, my friend.
They can find me at the Robin Hood Resort in March, where me and Mike are going to throw each other in the water for the cash flow cold plunge, or whatever they're called.
God.
Well, March is at least better than January.
Yeah, we were there. It never came up. So like we were waiting. Somebody said they were going to super chat if we would jump in. Never came up.
Oh,
next time.
And Mike, where can everybody find you, sir?
Yeah, just Instagram, YouTube, Millennial Mike, and I'll pop up.
It's true. He's there. So guys, again, thanks so much for the time, and look forward to all the fun that we're going to have in this course over the next year. Thanks a bunch, guys.
Ciao.